When we break up an intimate relationship, we can find information in terms of how to handle the emotional aspects of it, the legal aspects, even the physical infrastructure. But we find very little in terms of the energetic and non-physical spiritual side of it. So in this video, we are going to discuss about that. Hello, I am Nanci Trivellato. Thank you for being here with me today. We are going to discuss about breaking up, getting a divorce, splitting from a deep relationship, intimate relationship that we have had. There are some components here that I would like to discuss in relation to the non-physical side of it. To address this properly, let's go a step back for a moment and appreciate the fact that we are in constant interaction of energies with other people and the environments and even objects around of us, but with some more than others. In the case of an intimate relationship with someone we love, or at least we loved at some point, even though sometimes not everything is perfect, but every aspect of it causes us to exchange energy of a specific type. And it's usually a lot of energy, an energy that starts bonding the energetic field, the energy body, the chakras of each of them in the relationship. And this is true for any relationship that is very deep, very connected. Independently, if it is mother and daughter, friends, neighbors, independently. But here we are focusing on the breakup of a couple with time. And of course, it depends on how much time, but also on how deep the relationship was, how strong it was, because time may be short, but it may be something that was very dear. There was a lot of energy involved, love and passion and care. And this creates a condition in which our energy starts being balanced or creates certain sort of constitution that depends on the energy of the other, but also relies on the energy of the other. The exchange of energies is what keeps both balanced because that creates that deep interaction. When there is a breakup, either because was separation by death or separation because there were misunderstanding or people just get different avenues in their life and it doesn't match anymore. But even so, when the separation comes, if the energy connection was too deep, it is energetically painful. Most people will understand an emotional pain, will understand a physical pain, but they never think of an energetic pain. And yes, there can be energetic pain. I have felt that several times. I know very well the difference. And I have seen many people in this condition. We need to give time to it, but we can contribute by doing certain energetic procedures, certain techniques that will help you to gain balance again. But nothing will replace time. The reason why I explain this is because sometimes people get desperate and they look for solutions in areas or via methods that are not going to help because their pain is not physical. Sometimes it's not psychological. Sometimes it's because the chakras per se, the energies per se are like shouting out, something is wrong, and it's a reconstitution of your energy body, which is almost like reconstituting the physical body. It's not physical, but in some way it's the same as if you have had an accident and broken several bones, and then you have to go through some surgery and mend all the bones. So it takes time and it is painful. You need to know how to distinguish the energetic pain from other types of pain. And pain here is, a way of saying, because when we say emotional pain, it's not a physical thing, but we can feel like physical, can't we? we can have physical repercussions and consequences of an emotional pain. In the case of the energetic pain, even more. So we have to keep an eye for it and know how to balance out. And that is done via energy, but also via calming down yourself internally. Emotions, thoughts, plan of life. But that is the deal with the breakup, isn't it? It's not always easy to go through, especially when you are very close to the other one, especially when you still love and want to be with the person. But even when that's not the case, there may be some big energetic fluctuations. And it can cause some situations around, like people acting strangely or people reacting to us in ways that is not the common way that they would normally react, simply because our energy is now different. Our field of energy is being reconstituted. But there are other situations that can happen in terms of the type of spiritual presences that may come close by. And what is the sort of energetic link that the other person may still have with us or us with the other person. So let's see about this. Sometimes we broke up, but we still keep feeling the other person close by. Even it's been like 4 months, 6 months, sometimes 1 year and a half or more, even that I have known this from some people. They still sense that the other person is thinking of them. It's very hard for both of them to be completely free and to be open to other relationships because that bond keeps there. There is one point here that is very important that each of us would pay attention to in a situation like this. So let's say it is you. You may be trying to get out of a situation. You may be over the energetic pain and all of this sort of pain. Everything is good. But the lingering energetic presence of that X keeps affecting your energy field and interfering in your decisions, in your thoughts, in your everyday life. Then you have to examine what is causing still that connection. If the other person resents you, there are some sort of techniques that you can use. If the other person is trying to get you back and keeps insisting on that, it's a different type of technique that you will use. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you some of these techniques that you can use in each of these conditions. Spiritual presences, entities, individuals that are in between lives in general that could be interfering. Sometimes this interference is spontaneous. I mean, there's nothing that we are doing to cause X. Sometimes it was already happening even before the couple split. But what is important is that we recognize in the moment that we are experiencing the situations if there could be some of this interference. Why? Because sometimes there can be a certain non-physical presence that is around because that specific consciousness spirit is related to you both or was related to you both in previous lives. Or there is something in common, or they had been influencing and participating in the relationship from a non-physical point of view since before the breakup, I mean. So then it's almost like it's not a situation between two people, a couple. No, it's a situation between the couple and the non-physical spiritual presences that they had that would accompany them, that would interfere, that would create them to discuss once in a while and then make peace later on and then fight for no reason. I'm not saying we don't do these things on our own. We do. But sometimes there are things that they blow out of proportion or things that happen that you didn't even notice they were happening. You're not doing it. You were not aware. It's almost like something else could be influencing, making things to be, stuck at a point that they never change, no matter how much the couple tries It's impossible to get over a situation, but sometimes there can be an angle of it that would be almost like some sort of negative feeling towards one another for no apparent reason. I mean, there's nothing that would justify that, not to that degree. And of course, we have to consider if this was a case, when, and what was the percentage of influence that perhaps energies around other people, physical people, their minds, their thoughts, but also non-physical people, spirits close by, could have created in the relationship. But again, going back to the original point, at the moment that this is happening and the couple is already separated, could there be some of this consciousness who are still creating that connection and maintaining that connection? So yes, the connection still exists, but it's not because either one of them want, but because both of them are still feeling connected, because those non-physical presences, those spirits still insist in keeping some level of the energy exchange that existed there, because they feed on that, or because they take some sort of advantage with that, or because they love them both and you have to be together even though you decided not to. So there can be all sorts of situations that you could imagine if they could exist in the physical life, they can exist in the non-physical life. People. It's just people in between lives. The problem is that sometimes the couple doesn't notice, and that keeps bringing back some sort of a connection. Sometimes it's hatred, sometimes it's bitterness, sometimes it's loving and missing the person, sometimes it's wanting to have sex with the person, even when this element of the couple that is wanting to have sex and think of the person is already with someone else. So we need to consider all of these aspects. The energetic pain and the instability, number one, that I said. Number two, when both or one of them more than the other still feels a connection and keeps feeding that connection. And when there can be non-physical presences interfering, maintaining a certain condition of the relationship, and often not allowing either of them or one of them to be able to move on with their lives. Again, I repeat, I'm not saying that every case is related to it, but there is usually a percentage, a degree of interference because of the affinities. What is inside of us and what's happening in the energy will open doors for some of these non-physical consciousness and other energies to come close by. Non-physical consciousnesses, I mean spirits, entities, those who are in between lives. So it's very important that we know how to handle it with the proper tools. So let's talk about tools. If you want me to go deep into any of those, you please write in the comments of this video, and I will do a video especially to address these specific techniques. But the number one thing I'd like to say is that I recommend to everyone who is into working with energies, feeling their chakras, living the body, connecting with other consciousness, trying to elevate their energies and their spirit, I recommend that they learn a technique that will give them control of their own energies, not just opening up, not just activating one chakra here and there. No, activating, but also teaching them how to stop it if they need. Opening up and creating connections with spirits, with other people, and become more empathic, telepathic, but also being able to stop any connection when needed. That is very important for our survival, for our balance. Otherwise, we just become individuals who connect with those that we have some energetic coupling with, or a situation just brings that connection, and there we are having residues of those energies in our energy body. So the technique I recommend for this is what I call VELO, Voluntary Energetic Longitudinal Oscillation. If you are here with me in this channel, you have heard me say about this so many times. The reason is because I have researched many techniques and I have been working with this for decades. And there is one technique that is very ancient, that it's moving the energies inside the body, through all the chakras, through all the mini channels and meridians, in a continuous flow. But this ancient technique has been practiced in so many different areas that people just do it whatever way they want. And I did more than 15 years of research on what is the best method to do this technique. So velo is a term that I have created to describe, obviously, just this movement, but done in a way that goes deep, brings deep result. If it's cleansing, it's really cleansing. If it's stopping interference from outside, it's really doing it. And that's what brings some challenge to the velo technique. But I have videos here in the channel. I have courses for you if you're interested in learning. But what I'm saying here is that you need to have understanding of your own energy system. Otherwise, you may do a technique that instead of producing the effect you want, it just brings you to a different result and you do not know why. So I always suggest velo because it's good for self-defense, for balance. Anyways, I say this because now I'm going to teach you some of the techniques and I need you to have in mind what I just said. So let's talk about the situation when that connection still remains. You cannot get out of it because the other person is trying to get you back. This can be done through different means. Sometimes the person is just thinking of you, but sometimes the person is really mentalizing. You will come back. You'll be mine. No matter what happens, you'll be mine. So that creates an energetic wave and an interference. You may receive that more or less, but whoever is sensitive will realize some degree of it. So my suggestion in a case of this is that you do a self-defense technique, because the whole process is something that is coming from outside of you, trying to cause you to act in a certain way, in this case, going back in the relationship, and that is contaminating you. So you need to use a technique to cleanse your chakras and for self-defense. Velo is the technique I recommend. So that is the technique in this case, self-defense. However, if the other person resents you or you resent the other person, and it never completely ends the relationship because that resentment is there, what do we have to do? In this case, what I suggest is that you choose one night. I say night because it's usually when we are calm, we are alone, it's silent around, but it has to be a moment that you have time, you are in peace, you can focus, you can concentrate. And what you will do is that you will prepare yourself internally to make amends. You are going to replace the connection that existed between you and that other person who was part of the relationship. You are going to replace those energies there with a different type of energy. So for this, what do you need? You need to be well with your energy. You need to be focused. You need not to be anxious or in a hurry. You need not to be afraid. What you will do is that you will think of the other person because you are concentrated, you are in silence, you think of the other person, and you will direct the energy to the other person almost as if you would create a duct between you and the ex and allow the energy to flow, but energy that would be with zero resentment. Energy that would be only trying to make peace, make amends, and love and caring. So we have to build that inside of us to produce that so strong energetic connection with a different pattern that the old connection is replaced, is cleansed. Therefore, there is no way for the same type of energy to be flowing back and forth through that duct of energy. Just a way of explaining, of course, the connection that has been created between both, or that still remains between both. As I said, I'm not going to go very deep into preparation here, but you can imagine that you need some control of your energy. You need to be able to focus and concentrate. You need to be able to connect energetically, and you need to know For how long? And what I will recommend, just to make it simpler, is that when you send energy to the other one, so like making your energy get there with your thoughts, with your emotions, you will do it until the energy is still flowing. And you are going to do this process once. If at most twice, you do not need more. If you need to do it 5 times in a week, it's because you are not doing correct. If you prepare yourself, because it's not like, I'm going to do tomorrow. No, you prepare yourself. You focus, you start changing the energy inside of you. Start working on the energy. And then you go in, that day, you change the connection. So that's how it has to be. Cannot be like too many times, because that is going to create different type of interferences. Another situation that can be involved in creating this connection between both is some sort of unfinished business. Something that has not been said, some specific thing that one of them regret, or sometimes the fact that one of them, let's say, you are well, you are balanced, you are trying to move on, but the other person is distraught. Sometimes that doesn't let us move on and keeps that connection. And what I'd say in this case is that, of course, when we can talk, when we can do something about it, let's do it. Once, one talk with the right type of energy. And of course, you can talk as many times as you want. But that topic of the unfinished business, you have to go from beginning to end and clarify that. Clarify, I mean, not only explain, but also remove the energies that were stuck into that issue, into that topic. That's why it also may require you to prepare in your mind, what are you going to say, how, what exactly you are trying to achieve, what is the point, what is the strategy you use, because while you are planning that, you are already preparing yourself and the energy to do this. And if the other person for a moment needs a hand from you, and you can give it, knowing that the person will not be hooked on you, trying to get back to you, become more dependent, then give a hand. But it has to be with the right energy, so that little by little that is breaking the connection and not intensifying the connection. And I mean here a connection that is displaced, that is interfering, because of course we can continue friends. Hopefully we were and we continue friends. We can continue supporting each other, but the type of connection must change. Otherwise, it will interfere in other areas or with other relationships. So in the case of the unfinished business, if you cannot talk directly to the person, you can do it from a non-physical point of view, hopefully through an out-of-body experience. And talk to the person. Will the person be lucid too? That can happen. But if not, you are going to do it mentally. Mentally is not imagining. It's creating an energetic connection of that type. And you are going to go and clarify that with the type of energy that you send, you connect. So you start cleansing. You, and hopefully the other one too, needs to start cleansing the type of energy that were connecting both. But look, in many cases, easier said than done. Because we have bonds from lives. But what's important here, what I think it's the key thing in this talk here, is to understand that it's not always depending only on us. Why I keep thinking of that person, why I always remember of my ex, why I still have that issue, why it was so painful. Let's bring into consideration the energetic side of things. I hope you got the idea, and I hope this video brought to you some tips that were important and some new aspects for you to consider. If you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, please consider doing so. Here we talk about a true spirituality, but in a down-to-earth scientific manner. So look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye.